No, it wasn't cold. Very pleasant.
Small girls. 5.
There we wave. Remember, Jenny? It's not like skis.
No yodeling, sir.
That must be just about everybody, hey?
People on this earth that I know of, right? And I've been Google searching this like crazy that do what I'm doing. So basically this piece I was working on is a piece of steel I made a few days ago. And it's made out of iron ore and meteorite.
Yeah.
And I mixed it together using this old Indian technique that was used thousands of years ago. It's called woots, and it's a way that they actually produced the Viking swords. You know, the legendary Viking swords weren't Viking; they were actually Indo-Persian because of this secret technique. You know. So if I can find someone who does this, I'd love to try with them. The only guy that does it, yes, yeah, exactly right. The only guy I know of that does this, he lives in Hawaii, and that's a little bit of a drive away.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to welcome you all here to the Telegraph station. For those who don't know me, my name is Isabella and I'm the Platinum host on the Ghan. I brought with me a few lovely crew members with me, so I'd like to introduce you to Brett. I have Tia and Mel over here. So we are here to top up your drinks, take any photos, and if you need a dance partner for later, I've got 3 great ones here for you. So, yeah, I hope you have a great night, and I'd like to introduce you to Nikki, who's going to go through a little bit about the Telegraph station with you. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nikki, and on behalf of the staff, welcome here to the Alice Springs Telegraph station tonight. Now, behind me is the Barracks building. It's the oldest building in Alice Springs, completed in 1871. And it housed a handful of men who braved the isolation and the elements for the benefit of the overland telegraph line, which ran between Adelaide and Darwin. Now, before international telegrams were available in Australia, it would normally take between 3 to 5 months to send a message by ship from Australia through to England, and that time back again. But Charles Todd, who was in charge of the construction of the overland telegraph line, hand-selected 500 men who placed 36,000 poles between Port Augusta and Darwin, and they placed 3,200 kilometres worth of telegraph wire. That was connected in 1872. Then it went via undersea cable between Port Darwin and Java. Then it travelled through Asia, Africa and on to London. So instead of 3 to 5 months to send a message by ship, it would only take a matter of hours to send a Morse code message along the line. Now, the Alice Springs Telegraph Station was actually named after Charles Todd's wife, Alice. And unfortunately, Alice never got to see Alice Springs, but her husband, Charles Todd, did travel along the telegraph line to boost the morale of the workers who put up with such horrendous conditions during the construction. Now, not long after the telegraph line was put through, of course, they were making discoveries through the Northern Territory. And in this Alice Springs region, they discovered gold. And to support the hundreds of people who were coming up here to make their fortune, the township started not too far from here. It started 4 kilometres south of the Alice Springs Telegraph Station, and in those days it was actually known as Stewart. Now, the Alice Springs Telegraph Station actually ran for a period of 60 years. It sent its last telegram in 1932. And then afterwards, this place was utilised to house Aboriginal children of mixed descent who would later on identify themselves as the Stolen Generation. In 1942, Darwin was very heavily bombed, and the Australian Defence Force placed 3,000 soldiers between here and Anzac Hill, which is now a lookout point in Alice Springs, and is also utilised for Remembrance Day and Anzac Day commemorations. And in more recent history, the Alice Springs Telegraph Station has been restored and refurbished and made into a historical museum site. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to hand over to the band the one, the only Heartbeat. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Don't forget there's fires over there so you can go and warm up. And there's a table over there for marshmallows a little later too. This is a song by Cyndi Lauper. My bed I hear the clock ticks, nothing of you.
This is the story that echoes through time of electric words and far-flung distance, an end to the silence by transmissions made instant. We piece together our history with only fragments to follow. Poles, cables, old letters unfurled, glimpses of the past like memories of another world. The simple wire forged new tracks, crossed stony hills and sandy desert. Strung high over vast ancient ground, the singing wire began to sound. When the final piece was strung, they gathered in the mountain shade, and far across the world they waited to be delighted or dismayed. At last, station by station and beyond the waiting seas, the singing wire sang so far it could barely be believed. Here, at the centre of it all, we still find ourselves in the story. And here, at the centre of it all, the singing wire still sings. So here's to the architect, the surveyors and the builders, the long days and the labour and the dust-swept camellia. Here's to the tired-eyed operators tapping distant news into distant places. Here's to the crumpled letters and the anxious wait for the news from home. Here's to the granite walls and the flagstone floors, testament to our history of layers. Here's to the children waving wild yellow flowers after the rain. To the single wire above us and the stars that blaze into memory. And here's to us at the centre of it all, where the singing wire still sings. Thank you.
Song by Ice House, formerly known as The Flowers. Standing at the limit of an endless ocean, stranded like a mummy, lost at sea. City on a rainy day, down in the